You are now tuned in to Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. Go. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Go. Don't waste no time.
In the United States, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. Here in the UK, it's Mental Health Awareness Week. So this was an episode we was always going to do, but it happened to align essentially quite perfectly for both our UK and US listeners. So as always, before we delve into the episode, before we, talk our talk, it's Charlie Touche. How are you?
Woo, I'm cooling, man. You don't see the fresh cut. You feel me? Before we get into anything, heavy, I thought we'd keep it lighthearted real quick, bro. You ever had a nightmare, Kadeem?
I literally had one last night. I get them quite frequently these days, actually. Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
So how does it do you wake up in the middle of the night like, oh, that was a bad dream? Like, how does it work?
I kind of wake up a bit disheveled a bit. That wasn't quite, nice. I haven't had one where I woke up in sweats or screaming or anything like that. But I've had quite a few where I wake up and it's like, that was quite depressing. Don't know why I dreamt about that. Like last night I dreamt that one of my friend's brothers beat up a bus driver because he was driving badly, and then he threw a grenade which essentially was so bad that it started raining fireballs from the sky and he started World War III. Yeah.
That was your nightmare, Kadeem?
Pretty much, yeah.
Bro, so I don't have nightmares often. And that I heard that there's people that don't have dreams either. But I have nightmares before. I want to say it's not often, probably like once every 2 months, I guess. Maybe that is often. I don't know. I don't know the ratio of nightmares you're supposed to be having as a human, or if you're supposed to have any at all. But Kadeem, like 2 days ago, true story, clocked out, knocked out, snoring and slobbing on my pillow, bro. I'm out of there. And I'm just having this bad dream. And it's going to sound funny, but I'm dead serious. The Dolphins were like, the Dolphins were like 3-11, dog. Like we were like 3-11 going into this season. I'm like, yo, this is so bad, bro. Like, and everybody was roasting us on Twitter, and it was literally a nightmare, bro. And everywhere I turned, I couldn't get away from just people chirping about how bad the Dolphins were, bro. I like, yo, this is terrible. Next question is, have you ever had a dream where you're like, yo, I'm dreaming. I could wake up whenever I want?
Those, to me, are the scariest nightmares, where it's like, I know I'm dreaming, but I can't get out of it. So I'm like, yo, wake up. Like wake up, because if you wake up, you're all good. And yeah, those are the ones that scare me the most, because it's like, I know I'm dreaming, I know it's not good, but I can't open my eyes. Like in the dream, I'm like opening my eyes again to try and I hate it.
Bro, during this dream or this nightmare, I'm like, yeah, this is bad, bro. And then I kind of caught wind of, oh, I think I'm just dreaming. Right? So I'm like, oh, let me get up out of here. You know what I'm saying? Nah. And then I woke up and I thought, the sun was going to be peaking a little bit, but it was still the middle of the night. And I woke up, my heart was beating fast. I'm like, damn, this is bad, bro. Like, whew. I'm glad it was just a nightmare. You feel me? That was not reality. And it was the worst of the worst. Worst case you could think of. McDaniel was on the way out. Tua was on the way out. Greer was on the way out. It's bad. Like, new owner came in. I'm like, yo, so we just start from ground zero while we got this roster? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was so bad, Kadeem. But it's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. I'm your boy, Charlie Touche. I got my co-host, Kadeem Simmons, with me. It's always for the fans and by the fans. Your favorite podcast, and it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's also CTE Awareness episode that we like to go through here on the podcast. What you got for us, Kadeem?
Before we really dove into the serious stuff, I did have a story which I was going to share on our episode with 5 Yard Lee, who came on previously. So let me quickly share it now. I'm not a betting man. You know that. I don't bet. In one of my fantasy groups, one of the guys was like, "Hey, I've got a bet. I've got the tip just come in. Horse racing. Now I know a bit about horse racing." So I'm like, "Okay, cool, fair enough." So he was like, this horse put a each way bet on £1. So each way is basically, if it wins, you get money. If it comes second, third, fourth, or fifth, you get money. So it's kind of like, as long as it comes in the top 5 of the race, you're good. Now, for those who don't know, I'm currently not working. So I was like, you know what? The money I was going to have, spend on lunch on Monday, let me put it on the source. So £10 each way at 66 to 1. So it's not massive, but it's a good over £600. Someone else in the group is like, yo, I heard about this horse as well. It's good. This is a good tip. So cool. I don't bet to the point I don't even have a betting account. So I messaged Drakey, can you put this money on the horse? £10. Cool, fair enough. I was at a football match, so I'm not even watching. I'm watching the race. It's at 2:35. At not even 2:36. 2:35. I get a message from Drakey. The horse threw the rider off and just went right. Instantly. So imagine all you got to do is run straight, and he goes, nope, dashes the jockey off and just runs to the right. Over in a second. I was just like, this is why I don't bet. This is why I don't bet. There was no drama. There was no hope. It was instantly, nah, I'm not doing this. So that's my betting story.
Bro, you got a tip on a fixed race and you still lost?
Do you know when I shouldn't bet? Just shouldn't bet.
Bro, that's some Lucky Number 11 stuff. If you've seen Lucky,
movie. Love that movie.
Bro, you seen
Josh Hartnett,
Lucky
Bruce
Number
Willis.
11 out of all people. You seen the movie?
One of my favorite movies of all time. Love it.
Wow. Hard transition into CTE Awareness Month. But look, you know what? I will say this though. Lately I've been saying don't suffer in silence, right? Tell a friend, you know what I'm saying? Tell somebody about it, all the other good stuff. You feel me? But in all seriousness, it's levels to mental health. It's not always the far extreme level of mental health where, this is suicide prevention, because it could get there. But then there's also, I need to protect my peace. That's mental health as well. You feel me, Kadeem? And I'll tell you this. I was at this, I was on a job. This is not a story, but I'll just tell you. I was on a job and I met someone, and we'll tie this into Dolphins football real quick. I was on a job and I met someone, and when I go out of town for work, Kadeem, I'm usually gone for months at a time, sometimes years at a time. So on some of these jobs, you got to get, you stay in a room with someone, or it's single occupancy or double occupancy. So you stay with a coworker or something. So on this particular job, I could have stayed by myself, but I wanted to save some money. Like, hey, let's just go half on the room, and then we save each other money. And this dude said something to me that I'll never forget, ever in life. And it was one of some of the realest things I ever heard. He said, nah, man, I'm all right. Nothing against you. I just need my own room. I was like, yeah, bro, but save this money. We're going to be out here for a while. Ended up, we were out on that job for 2 years. And then I just got an apartment by myself. But he said, a peace of mind is priceless. Like, how much are you willing to pay for this peace of mind? You know what I'm saying? And sometimes in life, you got to think, what am I willing to put up with, and what am I not willing to put up with? And then at what cost? You see what I'm saying? So a peace of mind is priceless. Tying it into Mental Health Awareness Month, I will end on protect your peace.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, it's not always, I'm feeling so down, I'm gonna hurt myself or anything like that. Sometimes it's just you're feeling down. Sometimes it's about, hey, the headspace I'm in, the physical place that I'm in is not good for me. I'm not happy. I need to take a step out. I think, to we will get to football, Dolphins, all that kind of stuff. But I do think as men, and especially as black men as well, there's like this stigma around talking to people about it. Kind of about your mental health, about being depressed and stuff like that. It's very much, no, I've got to stay strong. I've got to look big in front of my friends, in front of my family. It's like, sometimes being big or looking strong is saying to someone, actually, do you know what? No, I'm not okay. I need to sort some things out and stuff like that. So, I can honestly say that probably 2 years ago now, I was in therapy, had a weekly therapist, an hour a week, just talking about stuff, just making sure that mentally I was okay. Not ashamed of it, not trying to hide it or anything like that. It's just, yeah, and as we said at the top of the show, mental health awareness week, mental health awareness month, CTE, all that kind of stuff. It's just sometimes it's really good to take a step back and think about the mental side, not just to football, but to life as well.
So one of the most notable tragedies of the NFL was a player that is in the Hall of Fame. And I can't remember if CTE was I don't think CTE was discovered at this time, but it was Junior Seau, former Miami Dolphin, former San Diego Charger, Junior Seau. And Junior Seau was one of the best linebackers to ever play the game. Ever, ever, ever. If someone gives you hey, give me some of your best linebackers of all time in the NFL, if they don't mention Junior Seau, you have to question their football acumen. Junior Seau was one of the best linebackers ever. Former Miami Dolphin. Got to put that out there. So Junior Seau was reported to have like, he's not doing good and it's bad, and his actions are not normal, right? Turns out he ends up killing himself, committing suicide. And it was such a tragic thing. And when people thought, I don't want to say it was a one-off, it could have been a one-off. It was just not. I don't think too many people tied it into football. I don't think too many people tied it into football. But then as the years went by, we started seeing a whole bunch of players. And when I say a whole bunch, I'm talking about too many to the list, too many to name. I'm not even going to attempt to mention all of them, right? So a bunch of players end up falling down this just becoming a victim to CTE. And I always said this, Kadeem, I'm like, there's a movie called Concussion. And I don't know if anyone has seen Concussion, but I urge any football fan to watch this movie Concussion. And what I took away as a huge football fan, I've been playing football. I played football since I was 4 years old, Kadeem. Like, as far as back as my memory goes, I can remember putting on flag football, then playing tackle football at 6. I was a quarterback, by the way. That team wasn't that good, but I was still the starting quarterback. But anyway, so as far as back as my memory goes, I played football. And the football that I grew up with, Kadeem, was not the football that we have today. And there's some things that we do now at Optimus Football and Little League Football and Pop Warner that I think should be eliminated from the game. Like some of these practice drills, some of the hitting drills. Now that we're more educated on head injuries, some of these drills have to be removed and stopped from the game. But in the movie Concussion, Kadeem, they explained that the doctor has a example in the movie where a woodpecker would peck wood. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with woodpeckers. If you're watching us on YouTube, you see me like demonstrating what a woodpecker does, just peck, 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 peck. And it's real fast. They're actually pretty fascinating. I'm not gonna lie to you. Woodpeckers are pretty fascinating. But in the movie, the doctor explains that a woodpecker has a mechanism to protect him, to protect his brain from enduring trauma when he pecks wood. So technically, his tongue wraps around his brain to cushion it and to soften the blows of the wood pecking. Like it is. One can argue, one can say, "Yo, this thing was created to peck wood because there are mechanisms already built in for that will protect him pecking wood, or while he pecks wood." So again, in this movie, the doctor says, "Yo, humans were not created to play football," and that's what he says. That's basically that's basically in essence what he says in the movie. And I ain't gonna lie, Kadeem, I always revert to this. If you told me that studies, we can have studies, might have to get an AI on this. If we could figure out a way to prevent CTE, and not just football, but a lot of other sports as well, just for all these young people that's going to endure mental health illnesses as they grow up after the sport. If you take 2 years off to study this, and I guarantee we will remedy this whole epidemic, I will gladly take 2 years off of football. No football, no fantasy football, no easy money, no watching football, no nothing for 2 years. There's no football. I would gladly do it, bro. And after that movie, I just looked at football a lot different, knowing the fan that I am in football, bro. We met because of football. I have a hard time, as I sit here today, wondering if I would let my child play football because of CTE and the mental health effects that it has on people.
Yeah, 100%. You know, there's so many players who would turn around and say, "I would never let my son play football." Not doing it. Like, why would I put my son through what I've had to endure? The hits, the pain, all that kind of stuff. I know that sports across the world, you know, soccer, rugby, entertainment sports like wrestling, they've done stuff to try and limit, you know, certain head injuries. So over here in the UK, they're looking at, and I think they've already done it already. In football, you can't head the ball until you're at least 8. So you don't get these 5, 6-year-olds heading, you know, lever over and over again. Seeing if that, you know, helps them later in life. Looking at in training, no heading the ball, because again, you know, if you've ever watched a game of football outside of the World Cup and stuff like that, there's a lot of heading, guys jumping up, you know, again, mimicking, you know, a heading motion and stuff like that. Obviously, in wrestling, on the back of the Chris Benoit tragedy and stuff like that, they said, you know, no more unprotected chair shots to the head. You know, the brain, the head, the skull isn't meant for, you know, metal to be smashed over it over and over again. And when you go back to football, you know, not every single tackle is going to be that's going to be a concussion tackle. But they do say, and I've never played the sport, but they do say, you know, when you're tackled and a whiplash, it's like being in a car crash. So you're tackled 20 times a game, it's like 20 mini car crashes. And it's going to have a lasting effect on your brain, on you know, your life. Was it Chris Borland, the 49ers linebacker who retired after 1 year?
I know that there was a linebacker that retired, like what you would say, straight away. But I can't remember his name.
I want to say it was Chris Borland, because I think he was something like one defensive rookie of the year. And you know, like, oh my days, this guy's gonna be amazing. And he's like, no, I'm retiring. I think he had one concussion.
I don't remember him winning rookie of the year though.
It might
I
have been-
remember. I remember he was really like a rookie or a first year, something like that. And I do remember him walking away, but I don't remember him winning rookie of the year.
If it wasn't rookie of the year, it might have been like it might have been like a rookie of the month or something. So Chris Borland, if it is him, yeah, retired. So yeah, won defensive rookie of the week. So defensive rookie of the month, NFC defensive player of the week twice, and 3 times NFL rookie of the week. So yeah, so drafted in the 3rd round by the 49ers. And just said no, I'm done. After 1 year, gave the money back. Yeah, played 8 games, but 1 concussion essentially. He was like, nah, I'm not doing that again. There's a former college player who became a wrestler who he retired, and you might have seen him. He definitely spoke around the Tua situation. I think it's Chris Nowinski. I'm saying this like you might know. Let me double check that as well. But if it
Doesn't
is Chris
ring any bell.
Nowinski, he's renowned to Chris Nowinski, former wrestler, now an American neuroscientist, plays against concussion. Went to Harvard. Not that it makes a difference, but wrestled for a few years and was like, nah, not doing this. And I'm talking like, WWE top, not a massive star, but yeah, he does a lot around concussions, and yeah, you would have heard and seen him during the Tua concussion scandal, probably the best word. Saying, I believe he was one of the ones saying Tua should never play again. The NFL are doing him a disservice, the Dolphins doing him a disservice, all that kind of stuff.
Bro, when we as just fans of not only the game but the Dolphins, and not only the Dolphins but of Tua, when we seen the first hit in the Bills game and there was speculation that it was a concussion, Tua displayed ataxia, right? And he wobbled and he couldn't find his legs, for lack of better words. Me and you, on the very next episode of the podcast, said we don't think he should play the next game. I know Kadeem pretty well, but I don't think you're a doctor, are you?
Not at all.
Okay, yeah. So I didn't think you were a doctor, right? And I'm not a doctor either. I want to be real with you. Just seeing that, and this is not an indictment on the NFL doctors, the Dolphins doctors, the Dolphins coaches, or anything, but just seeing when Tua took that hit, came back and won, by the way. When he took the hit and he was just wobbling, I'm like, that can't be good, right? So regardless if it was a concussion or if it was his back or not, it was like it was a short week, and I would just prefer to protect the quarterback and bring him back after the short week. That's it. Not saying we handled it wrong or not saying it was a concussion or not. But it was a visual that you don't want to see in anybody, with anybody, let alone my favorite player, right? That being said, he has the major concussion in Cincinnati about 4 days later. And one of the scariest concussions you're going to see in football was the one that Tua had to endure. And yeah, you're going to get the conversation of, yo, you got to protect your brain. Marshawn Lynch, protect your chickens. You feel me? Like, yo, you don't want to take too many of those, right? And even in boxing, I used to box when I was younger, Kadeem. I didn't like getting punched in the face, bro. I like, yo, why am I getting punched in the face in practice? Why I got to get punched in the head so much in practice? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I didn't like the idea of it, right? So you want to protect your dome. People are going to naturally be concerned about your future. Like, yo, I don't know if this is what's best for this human. But in my opinion, Kadeem, I don't know if this is best for humans, period. Like, I'm there. Like, yo, I love football, bro. But I don't want to see 20-somethings and 30-somethings sacrifice their life for my entertainment. I really don't. So I really hope that there's something that we could come up with to protect these players and athletes from CTE after the game. So it really got real for me. I don't want to say it got real before this. But when you hear CTE and you hear older players acting irrational and succumbing to what is now discovered as CTE and ending their lives and stuff, it's sad, and I can't even. It's catastrophic, bro. It's terrible. But when Vincent Jackson died, he's a receiver he played for Tampa. I think he was about 38 at the time. Vincent Jackson died. If you watch the movie Concussion, it was still the same similar characteristics of the players in that movie were alleged in Vincent Jackson's death. And after he died, his body was donated to research, and it was discovered that he had CTE. And that was 38, bro. I'm like, dang, bro, like that's not what I want. You know what I'm saying? Like it used to be a thing to watch the NFL and be like, oh no, this guy blew up. You know what I'm saying? Look at that hit, all the good stuff. There's a whole segment on it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's glorified. Like even when you go to football practice, you want to drop the what is it? A hit stick? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, yo, is that hit stick still a thing, Kadeem?
Yeah. Like
again, so you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, in Madden, there's a tackle hit stick.
Yeah, like, that's what I remember when there was no hit stick, actually, because I'm out of the gaming days, and I remember that the hit stick came after my gaming days, and I haven't been back since, so I didn't know if they still had the hit stick, right? So yeah, bro, it's glorified for sure. So you want the entertainment, but you just don't want the end result of what some of these players go through after their career is over with. And I'll tell you now, another one that's more recent, that as you get older, it's almost like, you remember, I'm pretty sure you could probably, you can relate to this in another sport, maybe not football, but when I'm growing up, Kadeem, and I see all of these quarterbacks retire and then their sons play, like, bro, I watched your dad play. You know what I'm saying? Asante Samuel Jr., you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I watched Asante Samuel. What is going on here? You feel me? You got what's the receiver from Indianapolis? Is it Michael Pittman? Michael Pittman Jr., right?
Yeah.
His dad had the biggest biceps in the league. He was a running back.
Joey Porter's son now playing.
Yeah, that's crazy. You feel me? So all these athletes, their sons are in the league now. So you kind of be like, dang, that's crazy. Like, I remember watching your dad. Like, that was not too long ago. It did not feel too long ago. So when you hear older players passing away and then they're donating their bodies and brains to research, and then it's coming back that they have CTE. Some of these players, you don't even know their names. But then just like you watch the game and you're like, yo, I remember your dad. That's how I felt when Demaryius Thomas just passed away, like, I want to say a year ago, maybe 2 years now. Maybe it was a year. I think it could have been this past season. Demaryius Thomas, receiver for the Denver Broncos. He was Peyton Manning's go-to receiver once upon a time. I can't remember how he died, but again, it was determined that he had CTE. So you wonder, like, bro, Demaryius Thomas was 33 years old. 33, bro.
I'm 33.
Bro, 33. Like, let that sink in for a second. 33 years old. You know what I'm saying? So this man played in the NFL, entertained us. It was all the fantasy football, all the good stuff. Let's go to Vegas. The best offense historically in the NFL ever was that Denver Broncos offense. And dude is no longer with us now. And he and it turns out he has CTE as well. Like, bro, that doesn't sit well with me. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to go too heavy, but this is an awareness episode, because some people might not understand. Like, some people, oh, y'all got to get harder. Y'all too soft. All right, bro. If you think this is just about being hard and soft, I think you're missing the picture. I think you're missing the real point. You know what I'm saying? So CTE awareness episode, man. When I say don't suffer in silence, like, you might be going through something as a human. You don't necessarily have to be an athlete. Don't suffer in silence. Like, you might have something like, yo, there's something wrong, and I don't know what it is. Ask somebody, tell somebody, get it checked out. Like, that goes to what Kadeem said earlier. You don't want to speak up. I know a lot of dudes don't like doctors and hospitals and stuff, but sometimes that's what it takes. Like, yo, let me talk to somebody. Let me go get checked out. Let me see what this is about. And then you could save your family and your friends some of the heartache later if you catch it earlier. And we're not just talking about CTE now. I'm talking about just the mental health thing too.
Yeah, definitely. Like, to kind of go back to the whole Tua situation, I'm not going to let the NFL, any sport, off the hook. The research isn't enough in terms of, brain injuries and stuff like that. Because we discussed it after the Bulls game, in the weeks after, that Tua head injury. It's a head injury where obviously he's dazed, his legs are dazed, he's wobbling, shaking his head. But you're a big UFC fan. How often do you see someone get punched, the legs kind of go, they're a bit wobbled, they kind of like protect themselves for 10, 20 seconds and then they back up and they get a knockout. And it's like, yo, we thought you were going to get knocked out. It's like, no, I'm fine. And then, they show no symptoms for weeks later. It's so difficult in that situation because a player will be like, no, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm 100% fine. Don't check, like, I'll pass your test. It kind of feels like the NFL and outside doctors need to take players out of the game. But then the issue then becomes, again, like we said, if you take a hit, you've got shaky head just to, as they say, clear the cobwebs. But you legit might be fine. It's obviously it's not the same as you sprain your wrist, put some ice on it, I'm good to go. It's obviously not the same because you don't know the lasting effects of a brain injury compared to a sprained wrist. But because of that, you need to treat brain injuries, in my opinion, a lot more seriously. I know, again, one of my favorite podcasts is the Colt Cabana podcast with wrestler CM Punk. And he talks about getting a concussion in the Royal Rumble. And he's doing a concussion test. And he's doing it with headphones on, listening to his iPod, answering the questions. And he's like, what kind of concussion test is this? And he
Hold on. So he was getting the test done on him.
Yeah.
But he was also listening to like music or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he passed the test. But he was just like, how can I pass this test when even if I don't have a concussion, I didn't take it seriously? And the way they've adapted the concussion test has made it a lot harder because I believe it used to be, you have to give your name, the day, where you are. And sometimes when someone's knocked out and they come to, like, what's your name? Do you know where you are? Do you know the date? All that kind of stuff. To me, that seems too simple. But again, the brain is a very complex thing. So you might be able to remember the date and what you did last week. You can't remember something happened 2 years ago. Same way you can remember something happened 10 years ago, but I couldn't tell you what happened for dinner yesterday. Just because of the way your mind is and stuff like that. So, and we said this at the time, no two concussions are the same. Not at all. So we've seen it this season. Might have been season before. Who was? It might have been a Bengals receiver. Was it T. Higgins? T. Higgins got knocked out cold.
Crazy. Played the next week.
Completely fine. And it essentially been fine ever since.
How does that work? Like, I don't understand that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Brandon Cooks has had so many concussions in his career. Still playing. Totally fine. And this isn't to the like the outrage surrounding Tua was different to the outrage surrounding everyone else. Again, we mentioned it on this podcast. The Devontae Parker concussion, where dude is out. He's out on his feet. And, was it whether New England wide receiver had to be like
Nelson Aguilar?
Yeah, was like, yo, ref, like, stop the game. And Reese at the time said, how did NFL spot Teddy Bridgewater's non-concussion, but didn't spot Devontae Parker? How is it that Teddy Bridgewater had no concussion, but you missed like essentially a whole week of training, which again, I don't hate because sometimes symptoms appear later, all that kind of stuff. Again, Tua, the Green Bay game. Was it the Monday when you went into the office? He was like, I think I had a concussion yesterday.
And we that story is kind of, we don't really have all
Yeah.
the truth to it, but it's odd on that story, like whether he self-reported or if they said, hey, are you all right?
Yeah. But to kind of throw back to you, the issue with brain injuries, with concussions, CTE, no two brains are the same, no two concussions are the same. And very, very quickly, to go back to the whole woodpecker thing and human brains, if you're watching on YouTube, little demonstration, if just say this 5p is someone's brain and this is your head, you're only getting hit, it's all over the place. There's only jelly protecting it. So even if you've got a helmet, you could have all the stuff which, if you have a helmet and I punch you in the head, it's not going to hurt, but your head's still going to move and your brain's still going to wobble. That wobbling is what causes CTE, causes brain injuries. And essentially, unless you're going to wrap your tongue around your head or have brain surgery to encase your brain in something, you can't get away from these kind of injuries, which goes to your point. Maybe humans shouldn't play American football.
Bro, one of the best, I guess, one of the most decorated running backs of all time, Emmitt Smith, said he's worried about CTE. He says he's good right now, but he does have a fear of it. Like, I do fear it. And we bring this up all the time. Luke Kuechly, when he was carted off, and he was like, he had physical tears streaming down his face, crying, and he didn't know where he was. He was getting taken off the cart. All right, bro, those are some images I'm really not like, I don't like it for the people. I don't like it for the fans. I don't like it for the game. And I prefer that if we could eliminate those images, not just the images, but the hits that create those images, then I would prefer that. All that being said, I wasn't sure. I didn't know I was going to say this, actually. It just reminded me while we were talking. But I had a concussion, Kadeem, recently. And we're not going to say how I got it, but I had a concussion. This is true story. I had a concussion. And I told Kadeem, I'm like, bro, I got a concussion, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it was I'm sure I had a concussion when I was younger playing sports, but this was the only one that I know of that as an adult, me being concussed. I'm like, dang, bro, the TV kind of loud right now, but the TV's not even up that high. You know what I'm saying? The lights in the room is really bright. I just knew I wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm not as sharp as I usually am. So yeah, man, it's just knowing to be aware. And I had to tell somebody. The night that I got it, I hit up LB like, hey, bro, just in case I don't wake up tomorrow morning, just know that this is what happened, right? So I didn't go to sleep immediately after I got the concussion, but I didn't go to the hospital either. So I'm just saying, like, I didn't know I had a concussion at the time. I just knew I got my head rung a little bit, but I didn't know it was a concussion until like the next day or two. I'm like, all right, this is not right. But
sorry, can I jump in on that very quickly?
Go ahead.
So yeah, you told me, and this might not make the edit. Stop me if I go too far.
Hold up. We're not gonna say how I got it though.
No. I'm not gonna say that. You told me after an episode, and it was, we were doing the episode of like, yo, you haven't done the intro, and he was like, oh, snap. And after, and again, like, you were yourself, but you wasn't yourself. That's a bit forgetful, but it's like it is what it is. And after he was like, I had a concussion, and it was like, oh, snap. If you go back and watch / listen to those episodes, I'm not gonna tell you when. If you can remember, it is what it is. But there was another episode after where you done the intro super early. He was like, this time I don't forget. And we kind of laughed it off, but it's scary. I've never had a concussion, but I can imagine how scary it is to just be like, you're there, but your brain isn't quite working. And like very quickly, like especially in football now, like UK football, a lot of players are suffering from dementia. So we don't have players committing suicide necessarily. We're getting football players in the UK suffering from dementia. players in their 60s, 70s who used to play football with those really heavy leather balls, which got heavier when they were wet, heading the ball over and over again, taking shots to the face, all that kind of stuff. And now just saying, yeah, I suffer from dementia.
Isn't that like, I'm not a doctor. We're not doctors or scientists, but isn't that interesting that football is obviously the more physical sport, and look at the CTE results in football players. And then you have soccer that isn't as physical as football, but still has the head injuries, and the head is still in the game. And then you see what you just said, more players suffer from dementia, right? So it's like, that is in itself says something. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, the head needs to be protected, and things have to be taken a little more serious in the games that we use to entertain us. Like, we got to figure something out. But I'm gonna be real with you, Kadeem. I'm just sitting behind a microphone right now. I have no idea what to figure out. But it is something that I just, me and you are, I don't want to say passionate about, but we're like cognizant of, like, yo, we should have a awareness episode. But you got something else before we go into bonus time, bro?
Nah, it's not. Again, it's not something we can solve today. It's not something doctors can solve today. As long as they keep taking necessary steps to make the game as safe as possible, I guess for now, that's all we can ask for. But to reiterate what you said, don't be afraid to speak out. Friends, family, loved ones. I'll open up my Twitter DMs at Kadeem Simmons. If you're watching this episode, it's like, you know what? Right now, I'm not okay. Top of my DMs, we can talk. It's sometimes, doing something which puts you in a good headspace, exercise, video games, TV. Try and do that more often. People say exercise is really good for the brain. Puts you in a better place. So, if you have anything which does allow you to, even if it's briefly, make you happier, I recommend doing it. But first and foremost, we say, tell a friend about the podcast, tell a friend about your problems. They're your friends, they're there for you.
Don't suffer in silence. And there's levels, right? It's the extreme, and it's not as extreme, but still. And check on your strong friends too. The friends that are, oh man, this dude's good. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, this dude's, hey, check on him too, because even the encourager needs encouragement sometimes. Y'all know what time it is. Stay positive, test negative. For Kadeem Simmons, I'm Charlie Touche. Thank you for tuning in this time. Make sure you catch us next time on Go Time. Already.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time.
What you got from Mr. Touche?
I ain't got nothing, man. I'm cooling, bro. Already. Like, bro, how ironic is it to start off the mental health episode with a nightmare? Like, boy, my mental health is not in a good place if the Dolphins are 3-11 starting the season or during the season. But I'm telling you, Kadeem, I thought, when you wake up and you kind of have an idea of what time of day it is, it's probably like 6 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. Do you wake up like that and like have a feeling of what time it is?
Yeah, sometimes like I feel like I've had a deep sleep, so I wake up, it's like, yeah, it's at least 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Because I only sleep at like 1 and it's like 1:30. I'm like, yo, it has not been half an hour. Like,
Right.
it can't have been. Yeah.
So I woke up and I was just sure that it was the middle of the morning, meaning like 9-10 o'clock in the morning. And I woke up, the sun was not even out. It was probably like 4 in the morning still. My heart was beating. It was bad, bro. I do not want to see what life is like if the Dolphins are 3-11 this year. But I don't think we're going 3-11. I actually think the Dolphins are the second best team in the NFL. And I can actually make a case for the Chiefs not being as good as they were last year. I will not make that case because they've always. I think Patrick Mahomes has never missed a AFC Championship. I think that's a real thing. I think since he started, he's been in the AFC Championship in his whole career.
That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
So I cannot say the Chiefs are going to take a step back this year, but I can make a case for it. I won't make the case, but I do think the Dolphins are the second best team in the NFL, and I find it crazy how people still sleep on us. Like, we have this team and we're still under the radar. I knew people would doubt us, but how much they're doubting us, bro, I cannot believe it. So I can't wait to see what happens this season, bro.
Dan Orlovsky had a tweet out, was like, he had quarterbacks in 3 tiers. One was quarterbacks you win, quarterbacks who help you. That's right. Quarterbacks who you win because of, quarterbacks who help you, who you can win with, and question marks, if that 3 makes sense. And 2 was in the second tier. Quarterbacks who you can win with. And let me double check this because I don't want to libel him and potentially say he wasn't saying what he was saying.
Oh, so it sounds like it's quarterbacks you win because of, quarterbacks you win with, and quarterbacks you win in spite of.
So he had quarterbacks you win with, so quarterbacks you win because of, as you said, quarterbacks you win a lot with, and big season of answering questions ahead. So in his quarterbacks you win because of, he had Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. Quarterbacks you'll win a lot with, Tua, Mac Jones, Jimmy G, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, and then big season of answering questions ahead, Matt Stafford, Desmond Ridder, Justin Fields. He's got a second Jones. Oh, Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, and Kenny Pickett.
I don't know about Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts being in a tier of quarterbacks you win because of. Every other quarterback you listed in there, I see why you win because of those quarterbacks, except for Herbert and Hurts. I don't think you win because of Hurts and Herbert. And while I'm out here making arguments and making cases for stuff, you win because of Tua, because we've seen what happened when you didn't have Tua. So
that's what everyone said in the comments.
Like, you've seen what happened with Tua, and you've seen what happened without Tua. So you win because of Tua, and you don't win in spite of Tua. So if anybody has a case to be in that top tier, it is Tua. But I digress.
Yeah, but that was the case even before the season, saying that this system is going to be so easy that anyone can come in and lead the Dolphins to wins. I think they won 1 game without Tua, and that was the 9-6 against the Jets, which Skylar Thompson.
And the coach whose system it is, not saying that he's Bill Walsh or Mike Shanahan or Kyle Shanahan. He's Mike McDaniel. It's still his system now, right? So the coach whose system it is came in here thinking that he just had this quarterback that he had to hold his hand, and turns out like, yo, I got to hold this dude's hand. He's going to take us where I need him, where I need him to take us. So, bro, we had this conversation at, what they say, ad nauseum?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. I can't wait.
Boozy.